Okay, I just got my second blood draw for today. So quick update about the appointment. We had the ultrasound to check, my uterus, my ovaries, and all that. Turns out your girl has plenty of follicles. The doctor was like, you have a loaded gun. You are good to go. I don't know if it's follicles or eggs. I honestly am a little confused about that. But basically I have like over twice the amount the average woman has. So like that's not a problem. So far good. And then we're like plugged into their funnel where we're basically, going through all the testing again, which is all stuff I've already done with our previous doctor. However, it was over a year ago that we did that. So our numbers could be different. So I've had 2 blood tests today, one this morning, a fasting test, and then this one this afternoon. And then Garrett's going to have to do another semen analysis. And then, more blood tests, like once my cycle comes, then I'll have to start some other tests. But anyway, basically we're plugged into their system now. Ultrasound looked good, which again is more confusing because it's like, what is wrong and why isn't it working? But the doctor just seems so knowledgeable. He already like taught me a lot more than I feel like I learned a lot with the doctor we saw last year, but then I felt like the knowledge like kind of plateaued. And then when we lost the baby, I just feel like she kind of wasn't as helpful and just wanted to like start us over. And I'm like, well, anyway, I don't want to get into that, but basically I feel like he's like really motivated to find the issue because he's like, okay, everything looks good in here, everything's normal shaped, you have a lot of follicles, like something else is off, so it's not that. And then now we're plugged into the system, and then we will see what comes out of it. So I feel hopeful that we're like just starting into like a system that gets us the answers. Like I have so much confidence that we're going to get answers here, so I'm excited. Okay, so I wasn't necessarily planning on talking about this right now, but I was just putting together some of our TTC footage, so I figured I would talk about this. But I wanted to mention just the ureaplasma thing that a lot of people have heard about nowadays. It's like an infection, I think, in your uterus that has been linked to infertility, and it's really interesting because a lot of doctors seem to think it's not linked, and doctors are smart, but they don't know everything. And here's the thing. A lot of people online have been saying that after they got treated for ureaplasma, they got pregnant like the next month or a couple months after. And I think especially after going through infertility for so long, you're just like willing to try anything, and you can't rule anything out because who knows? And when doctors are just like, yeah, we don't know what's causing your infertility, it's just really frustrating, and you kind of have to become your own advocate. So I don't want to make this too long. Maybe I'll go into more detail later. But basically, the second doctor, not the one we're seeing now, that I went to go talk to just to ask some questions and get an opinion on like what we should do next, what do you think about ureaplasma, all that kind of stuff. She's like, oh no, that has nothing to do with infertility. I'm like, well, what about people that get pregnant right after and they struggled with infertility for years before that? And she's like, no, there's no studies to prove that. Again, whatever, studies or not, the proof is in the pudding. If people are getting pregnant afterwards and they weren't getting pregnant before, it's worth a shot, So, we've just tried a lot of things. Everything's normal, whatever, as you guys know. And so anyway, she wouldn't refer me to get a test or whatever. So I just went online and did requestatest.com, I think is what it's called, and paid for a ureaplasma test, which again is probably way more expensive than seeing a doctor and getting referred over. But doctors just seem to think it's not linked. But I wanted to see. I have no symptoms of it, or I had no symptoms of it. This was a couple months ago. And, but you just never know. We've been dealing with infertility now for 3.5 years. Everything so far seems normal, so we're missing something. So if it's as simple as like an infection we can get treated for, let's figure that out. So anyway, I went to LabCorp and took the test. Not really expecting much, but I was like, it would be kind of cool. Not that I want it, but it'd be kind of cool to like be positive, because then maybe that's our answer and maybe that's what's been wrong. No symptoms. Anyway, I'm telling Garrett I'm doing this test. He's like, why are you doing that? I'm like, well, just to rule it out. Like, who knows? I'm positive, or I was positive. And I was like, what the heck? Which was kind of shocking because no symptoms, like all the symptoms I've read about online, nothing except infertility. So that was crazy. So then I emailed that doctor who didn't want to do the test for me and was like, hey, so I did the test anyway, and I am positive, so can you please, get our antibiotics? And I also asked her to get antibiotics for Garrett, which not my surprise, because through the research I've seen, a lot of doctors don't think you should treat the partner, which is stupid because, like, obviously we're doing the deed. So like, you don't just treat one person, you treat both people. And she's like, well, he doesn't need it. And I'm like, I disagree. I think you're wrong. Anyway, so then I went online again and like Googled basically how to get the medication, not through a doctor, and like did this quiz for Garrett and basically just said, you know, that he was like sleeping with someone with ureaplasma, because no shit, obviously. Anyway, so that's where a lot of frustration lies with doctors, is just like, I don't think they know everything. I think they know a lot at times, but I don't think they know everything. So at some point you got to be your own advocate and just do what you want to do. If that means paying a little bit more to just order something online, whatever. That's the stage that we're at. So anywho, we both did the antibiotics, and then we retested the next month and we both were negative. So we cleared that. But it's been 2 months now since that happened and we haven't gotten pregnant. So there's no say in which that was like the cause for infertility, but it does make me like a tiny bit more hopeful, because ureaplasma also can cause miscarriages, which we did have a miscarriage last summer. So I'm like, well, maybe, you know, we got pregnant and then maybe we lost it because of ureaplasma or a different reason. Could have been a lot of things. But again, it's just one thing that's like ruled out. And so I feel hopeful that maybe that was part of it. Who knows? Maybe we'll get pregnant this cycle. I don't know. But as of now, that was the thing we had and now it's gone. So you just never know. And again, when you are going through infertility, you are just willing to try anything and rule out anything. And it's just crazy because I don't feel any different than I did when I had it. I didn't even know I had it. I had no symptoms and I feel the same now, but our test came back negative. So anyway, that's the update on that. Okay, so we are about to head out to an appointment. We have to drive down to Mesa to go do my HSG and also a biopsy. I don't know if it's like a uterine biopsy or what they call it. I have had a biopsy before, I think in my uterus. I don't know. And it's awful. It was really painful. I did that like 5 years ago because they thought I had precancerous cells and so they had to test it. And I was fine, but it was just really uncomfortable because the whole time it was healing, it felt like an itch you can't scratch, obviously, because it's inside of your body. So uncomfortable and bled a lot. Apparently a lot of people pass out during the procedure, and I had like driven myself there because I didn't really know how bad it was gonna be. It sucked. So I'm kind of dreading that because I think that's the same thing I have to do today. And then I'm doing the HSG today, which I've actually never done, to make sure there's no blocked tubes or anything. And we had an HSG scheduled last year and it was for the next week, but I had found out that I was pregnant and so we canceled that HSG. So then we just never did one because we were like, you know, we had already gotten pregnant, so we thought that our tubes weren't blocked. Obviously there could be 2 of them, so one of them could be blocked and the other one might not be. But yeah, now that it's already been a year since we were last pregnant, our new doctor is having us go in for an HSG. So we've done like all the new blood tests and panels and everything, and like this is still just part of the testing process for this month, and then I think next month we go over everything and figure out what's likely going on and then what our next steps are going to be. So that's where we're at. Wish me luck. Okay, is that better? Okay, I'm back with an update. I don't know why this is doing this. Why is it making my teeth like blue? I know this is like really orange and yellowy looking right now. I have no idea what's happening with my camera. The settings are just bizarre, but I have my notes here so I don't forget what to update you on for everything. But I do have a little bit of an update on some things. But I had to go back and watch some old footage to remember what the last thing I told you was. And it looks like the last thing I had said was about the HSG. We were going in for that. I was pretty nervous about it because I had heard it was like the most painful thing for a lot of people, as well as the biopsy, which I had mentioned I had had before. It was really painful. I ended up taking ibuprofen this time. So the biopsy was not painful at all. It was the best. And I mean, it wasn't the best, but you know what I mean. It wasn't painful at all. Like there was a little bit of discomfort, but way more manageable. So I would definitely recommend ibuprofen if you have to do that. And then my HSG was clear, which is good news. But at the time when I saw that, I was like, what the heck? Like we're just waiting for answers and we don't know what's wrong. But this video here is getting a little bit too long, so I'm gonna end it here. My HSG came back normal, my biopsy came back normal, so neither of those were a concern. Everything was clear. But yeah, stay tuned for more updates.